So this is part 2 of day 1.7 one-step word problem notes. This is example number 3. It says, Brad has 15 fidget spinners. He shares them equally among his friends. They each get 3 fidget spinners. How many friends does Brad have? So we're going to start by defining our variable. And here we're looking at the question, how many friends does Brad have? So we're looking for the number of friends, right? So let's just choose X, and that's going to represent our number of friends. So we now need to think about the equation that would represent how many friends Brad has, and we're going to look at the information we have in here. So he has a total of 15 fidget spinners. He shares them equally, that's important, among their friends, and they each get 3 fidget spinners. So very similar to number 1, we know there are 3 fidget spinners per person, even though we don't know how many people there are, for a total of 15 fidget spinners. So we have 3 fidget spinners per person is equal to a total of 15 fidget spinners. So 3 times the number of people, so 3 fidget spinners times the number of people equals the 15 total fidget spinners that Brad has. So let's copy that down to our solve the equation spot and figure out what operation we need to use to undo. So if 3 and x are right next to each other, that's 3x. That means we're doing multiplication. We know the opposite of multiplication is division if we look back at our 1.6 notes. So we are going to divide this side by 3, which means we have to divide that side by 3 because whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other to keep that equation balanced. We are then going to cancel those out, which leaves us with x equals, and when we do 15 divided by 3, we find out that the answer is 5. So we have an answer, but we need to figure out how to write a sentence to explain that answer. So here we know that x represents 5 and x represents the number of friends. So to answer the question, how many friends does Brad have? We can say Brad has 5 friends, right? That's what our answer tells us because our x stood for 5, x stands for number of friends, therefore Brad has a total of 5 friends. All right, and let's do one more example here. This is example number 4 on your day 1.7 notes. You got a 98% on your quiz. Yay! Mary says to you, if you subtract my score from yours, you'd get 7. So we're asking, what score did Mary get on her quiz? So that's our question. What score did she get on her quiz? So let's pick a variable. We'll just do x again if we like. So we want to know what score she got. So this would represent Mary's quiz score. So x is going to represent Mary's quiz score, which is what we're asking here. So we now need to think about what is our equation going to be? What's happening to Mary's quiz score? So we got a 98, or you got a 98 in this problem. She said, if you subtract my score from yours, you'd get 7. So we're going to take our score, or my score, so 98, minus Mary's score, which we don't know what that is, would be equal to 7. So did we take Mary's words and put them into math? If you subtract my score from yours, we're taking our score, your score, minus Mary's score, so that's the first part, you'd get 7. So your answer would be 7. So yes, that expression agrees with that. So what we're going to do is copy that down into our solve section, and we're going to solve. So we need to get x by itself. So what we need to do is move stuff away from x. So we actually need to subtract 98 from both sides. That would give us negative x equals, and when we do 7 minus 98, we get negative 91. Now, x is not completely by itself here. This one actually has one extra step we need to do. So we need to divide both sides by this number in front of x, and that number in front of x is -1. So we can move over here. If we do -1 divided by -1, those cancel. And on the other side here, we need to divide a negative by a negative becomes a positive. So we just found out that x is equal to 91. But that's not how we finally answer our question. We need to interpret the solution. So we are going to write a sentence answering the question, what score did Mary get on her quiz? We found out that x is equal to 91. X represents Mary's score. So we can say Mary scored a 91% on the quiz. So remember, it's important to follow all 4 steps for our word problems here. We defined our variable, we wrote our equation, we solved it, and we had to write a sentence that answered the question. So if you're always confused on what the answer is or what you're defining your variable, look back at that last sentence. It's normally where you're going to find your question. Remember, since this is a video, you can go back and watch anything. If I was moving too quickly, pause the video, write stuff down. Make sure you have all this stuff copied down to your notes because you can use them on your assessments. And if you have questions, make sure you ask your teacher.